How's it going, everyone? While PlayStation Store hasn't revealed their Black Friday offers yet, they still do have an awesome November savings sale, and I am here to take a look at some of the deals under the price of $10, and boy oh boy, there are a lot of them. I think this is going to be the most amount of digital deals we've ever covered in one video, because why the hell not? You guys want to pick up some good games on the cheap, and obviously there will be some retreads like there always is, but I tried to mention some other stuff as well, so we'll get to those when we get to them. We've got like 20 plus deals here, so there's a ton of stuff. Let's get right into it, and I want to start things off with the AI the Somnium Files, which is 85% off for $5.99. I think this is an excellent deal. This is the lowest that Somnium Files has been, and I love this game. Spike Chunsoft visual novels are right up my alley. I love Danganronpa, but I would recommend that if this is a genre you're trying to get into, AI the Somnium Files is a really, really good one because it's got such an engaging and likable main character, Kaname Date. From that standpoint, like, that's really what's going to carry a lot of VNs and story-driven games, and I just think AI the Somnium Files is a great MC. Whereas Danganronpa, the main characters are fine, but I never got, like, that attached to them. But I really like Kaname as a character. But $5.99 for this game is great. Great soundtrack, mysterious story, a lot of twists and turns. For $6, a great pickup. Definitely would recommend that. And aesthetically, it looks great. And visually, you know, I'm not going to say it's absolutely blow away, but I think it's fairly decent, all things considered. Would definitely give that a shout at that price point. Next up, we got Bayonetta and Vanquish, the 10th anniversary bundle. I think this is a really, really solid deal for Bayonetta and Vanquish. For $9.99, you get both games, fast-paced, high-octane, Platinum Games action titles. You know what to expect here. Exhilarating combat. Vanquish is so over the top, and I say that in the best way possible. That's really what Platinum is known for, but Bayonetta is obviously an absolute classic and well-received as well. It's just that most people have played Bayonetta on some platform at this point. Would be nice to get Bayonetta 2 and 3 on other platforms, but I don't think that is ever going to be a reality, unfortunately. But for $9.99, Bayonetta and Vanquish 10th anniversary bundle, think that's quite good. And you know what? PlayStation dropped some of their classic titles on Switch too. You know, like, I've thought about this. I think Bayonetta 2 and 3, I shouldn't say it will never happen. I actually think there's a small chance it might happen. Maybe like a little bit of an exchange. I think it actually makes a lot of sense, but not gonna get into that diatribe right now. Dragon Ball titles. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, $9.99. Dragon Ball FighterZ, $9.59. I think both of these deals are pretty good. And now these games both do have quite a lot of DLC. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is actually getting some DLC here in a couple days. Future Saga Chapter 2, but base games are worthwhile. Xenoverse 2, an interesting game. Alternate time or timeline is getting fractured and you gotta save it. Plays a bit like an MMO. You create your own character, etc., etc. Dragon Ball Fighter is more of your nuanced technical fighter that is going to be, you know, a little bit sweat infused. You know, not really my cup of tea these days. I'll be a Sparking Zero guy and be a degenerate on there. But FighterZ has a lot of great aesthetics to it as well. It's an Arc System Works fighter. You know those games from a visual standpoint are going to be great. And for $9.99 and $9.59, both those are pretty good. And they both have PS5 upgrades as well, which is great. Zone of the Enders, the Second Runner Mars, is 80% off for $5.99. Great deal for Zone of the Enders. You know, I like me my action mech titles. Zone of the Enders was one IP I wish got a lot more love, done by Hideo Kojima, in fact. And, you know, narratively, it's a little bit wacky and out there, but as far as gigantic robots beating the hell out of each other, y'all know I'm always going to get into that, and Zone of the Enders gets you into that pretty easily. $5.99, great pickup there. Definitely check that out. Next up, we got Bully, 40% off for $8.99. You know, I wish this would get cheaper, but these Rockstar games kind of get to a price point, and then they never get cheaper. And Bully, that has been the case. It got down to $8.99, and has been chilling in there. This is a PS2 on PS4 Classic, so expect the game to be a little bit dated. You know, it is what it is. But I enjoyed Bully a little bit more on the comedic side, and I know GTA has always had its comedy, but Bully, obviously, a little bit more nefarious and whatnot. $8.99 is a good price, though. Just expect it to be dated. It's a PS2 game, so keep that in mind. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown is 84% off for $9.59. I really enjoyed Ace Combat 7. It's an IP that I think deserves a lot more love, but you know what? We're at number 7 as far as the numbered entries goes. Obviously, people enjoy it to an extent. Ace Combat soundtrack is super underrated. underrated. It's an absolute banger, and the gameplay, action flight combat gameplay is great. Didn't really care for the story of Ace Combat. You know, it is what it is as far as that's concerned, but the gameplay, I think, is great, and the soundtrack is great. Exhilarating stuff. $9.59 is a great price on that. Monster Hunter World is 50% off for $9.99. Look, I know Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out, but that game's gonna be $70, so, like, if you want to get into Monster Hunter on the cheap, Monster Hunter World is still a decent pickup. This is just the base game, no Iceborne expansion here, but, World is always a good pickup. You're gonna get a lot of hours of content for your dollar. Just clear up a couple weekends, because, it is quite the sizable undertaking if you're just getting into it, and there's a lot to sink your teeth into, and you'll probably like it so much that you'll end up picking up Iceborne, and Iceborne does go on sale standalone for like $10 as well, so you can pick that up down the line. Sakura Wars is 85% off for $8.99. I actually think this is a decent pickup. Now, this is a game that absolutely should not be your first JRPG or first Japanese title. It is so corny. The writing, it is like laughably bad at times, but that's like kind of the charm of the game. You guys know, like, cringe anime dialogue. If you've watched enough anime, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Sakura Wars has that in spades, but it's almost charming. Like, it's super comfortable with what it is, and you gotta know what you're getting yourself into. It actually has some decent combat. The soundtrack's pretty good. The combat's pretty decent. I'm not gonna say drop $60 on it like I did back in the day, but $8.99, I actually think it's a pretty decent JRPG if you like the dating mechanics in there as well. Again, for $9, I think it's a pretty decent pickup. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, $7.49, 70% off here. I recently downloaded this game again because the MVC collection was coming out, and I was like, you know what, I'm kind of in the mood for Marvel vs. Capcom. I was really having a great time with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and, you know, my last memory of Marvel vs. Capcom was with Infinite, and Infinite was kind of trash, but Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 still holds up so well. So many iconic characters, stylish visuals. Again, I don't get super sweaty with these fighting games these days, but gotta say, from a game standpoint, you know, having a lot of characters that I vibe with, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was great, and I really did have a good time with it. I played it way back on in the day when it came out on PS3, but yeah, just revisiting it recently, had a great time with it, and for $7.49, pretty good pickup there. Braid Anniversary Edition, already 60% off for $7.99. If you're a Plus subscriber, you'll get it for $6.79. Braid is a game that I played when the original came out, and this one is upgraded. It's a game you remember with all the original challenges and the same haunting, evocative score, but repainted pixel by pixel, so that each carefully rendered world comes to life in a high resolution. New visual details, animated brushstroke effects, and revamped sounds add to the immersive experience. On top of that, there is developer commentary there as well. Over 15 hours of recorded insight and conversation from developer Jonathan Blow, artist David Hellman, and more members of the Braid creative team as well. If you never played Braid, it's a pretty interesting time manipulation based game, and a lot of interesting puzzles in there as well. For this price point of $7.99, given that it just came out not too long ago, back in May of this year, 60% off, or, you know, south of $7 for if you're a Plus subscriber, pretty good deal there, and, yeah, classic indie title by all accounts. Dying Light: The Following Enhanced Edition, 70% off for $8.99 here. If you're one of the 4 people that don't own this game, like, come on now, Dying Light should absolutely be in your library. Enhanced, all that good stuff, and as an open world action title, a really, really well done one. Parkour gameplay is great. I actually think it's a superior game to Dying Light 2, and Dying Light 2 is getting added to Plus Extra. Actually, I believe today it got added to Plus Extra. So pick up Dying Light 1, play through that, go play Dying Light 2 on Plus Extra if you have it, then wait for Dying Light the Beast, as that's going to come out in 2025, and so far that is shaping up pretty nicely. So $8.99 for Dying Light 1, quite a good deal there. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, 70% off for $8.99. This game is in the news cycle as it just got upgraded to 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5, which is awesome. How long have I been trumpeting and supporting Assassin's Creed Syndicate, telling people to check it out? For a long time now. Now that it's 60 FPS on PS5, you absolutely should play it. Syndicate is a fantastic open world action title, and mechanically, it is a really well done game. I get it that Syndicate kind of flopped from a commercial standpoint. I think people were a little bit salty after Unity, and rightfully so. That game technically was terrible, but that is a game that a lot of people say, go and replay it. It's a lot better than you remember it, and they iron out a lot of the technical issues. They got to upgrade that to 60 FPS as well, and I think a lot of people would check that out as well. But Syndicate got updated to 60 FPS on PS5. It's $8.99. Go check it out. The game is great, and you guys know me. I love Assassin's Creed of old. The older Assassin's Creed games were some of my favorite games, literally of all time. Like, every year, Brotherhood, AC2, AC3, AC4, AC Revelations. Like, I knew every year, at the very least, Assassin's Creed was gonna be a game that I will enjoy. Maybe it wasn't gonna be the greatest game of the year, but it was gonna be a game that's right in my wheelhouse, and I'm gonna enjoy. And pretty much every single one outside of Unity was exactly that. And Unity is a game that I do gotta revisit and play again. It's just those technical issues at launch were so bad with Unity, but nevertheless, $8.99 for Syndicate, 60 FPS now. Go pick it up. You got no excuse to play it now. It's very much worth it. Batman Arkham Collection is 90% off for $5.99, brothers. It's Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. How many times are going to recommend it? Go back and check out Rocksteady when they were actually good. Yeah, $6. And there's rumblings that, hey, they might go back to Batman here with their next title. Hopefully that is the case, because Suicide Squad was an abomination. And maybe abomination is a little bit of a stretch. It was an abomination relative to what Rocksteady has put out in the past. And in the past, they put out the Arkham Trilogy, which was absolutely tremendous. Watch Dogs Complete Collection is $5.99, I should say Complete Edition. This gets you Watch Dogs 1 and the DLC. Watch Dogs 1 was one of these games that back in 2014, this game had an insane amount of hype and anticipation. A lot of people don't remember. Maybe some of you guys are younger, you just weren't following video games like that, but Watch Dogs was so hotly anticipated because Ubisoft hadn't nuked all of their goodwill at that point. And, you know, they were coming off of Assassin's Creed being established as this big IP. Watch Dogs had such a cool premise, and that premise holds true. I think the premise is incredible. I think the narrative is pretty good in Watch Dogs 1. Some of the mechanics don't hold up as well, and, you know, ultimately this game was disappointing to a lot of people, but people also had insane expectations for it. I still think you'll find a quality open world game with a cool premise and a decent story that you can sink your teeth into, and you're paying $6 for it. Like, that's pretty good with the DLC included. You know, it would be nice to get an upgrade on this game as well. It would be good to see Ubisoft go back and upgrade a lot of their classic titles. Honestly, not just Ubisoft, like every publisher that their games run at 30 FPS, that's a PS4 game on the PS5, just like unlock the frame rate. You'll probably sell more copies of the game as well, so, you know, there's that element to it as well, as far as just making extra passive revenue. Code Vein is 85% off for $8.99. Anime Souls-like, I enjoyed it, and you guys know me, I'm not crazy about challenging action RPGs like this, but Code Vein, you know, with the weeb aesthetic, it's gonna be right up my alley, so I had a good time with it. For $9, it's a pretty good deal, and I would give that a look. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Trilogy, 67% off for $9.99. Now, I said AI, the SOMNIUM Files is the visual novel that I would recommend. Phoenix Wright is kind of the most iconic visual novel that's ever been created. Is that a stretch? Are people gonna be like, ah, Steins Gate's more iconic? Whatever. Like, Phoenix Wright is a huge IP, and maybe you want to check that out. Phoenix Wright is also gonna be something that is a little dated. I think the original Phoenix Wright actually came out as a Game Boy Advance game. Over here stateside, I believe it was a Nintendo DS release, but in Japan, when it initially came out, I think it was a GBA game. But nevertheless, the Trilogy does a good job of enhancing the games, and it seems like Capcom has invested into Phoenix Wright as an IP, and Ace Attorney as an IP, as I should say. A lot of collections, a lot of games been coming out, so $9.89 for that is pretty good. A couple of titles from 11-bit studios. Frostpunk Console Edition is $5.99, and this War of Mine Final Cut is $5.99. Very, very emotionally gripping games. Different styles of games for sure, but both done by 11-bit. Frostpunk is more of a city survival game, city building survival game. Very, very cool setting in that. And this War of Mine is a real, more horrific showcase of what war is. I think in video games, a lot of times, you know, they're centered around war, but they're more of you as the overpowered soldier. This War of Mine kind of showcases the horrors and of the realities of war, which they do a good job of creating an emotionally gripping experience. $5.99 for both of those, I think, is quite good. Alien Isolation, the collection, 75% off for $9.99. Alien Isolation 2 reportedly in development right now, which is pretty cool. This is a game that a lot of people really enjoyed. If you're a fan of horror games, I think you'll have a good time with it. More of a psychological horror game, but incredible atmosphere to the game, which I always say is the most important part of a horror game. This has the DLC as well for $9.99, not a bad pickup there. And, you know, for a horror game, has some length to it as well. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, 83% off for $5.09. Is Dragon's Dogma 1 It's a decent action RPG. It's gonna be dated at this point, but that's kind of the charm of Dragon's Dogma as well. So yeah, you can check that out. Desperados 3 Digital Deluxe Edition. Wanted to give a mention to this. 80% off for $9.99. This includes the Season Pass, 3 DLCs, each featuring a brand new mission, and Desperados 3 is a really, really well done Wild West tactics title. It was done by Mimimi Games, who have done some fantastic games. The same people that brought you Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, and they did Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. Unfortunately, they aren't creating any more new games, given that their games, while they did fine critically, I guess commercially, they just weren't successful enough, whatever the deal is. It's the unfortunate reality of game development, but go show them some love. Desperados 3 was a really well done game. I want to give a shout, lastly, to Afterimage, which is 65% off for $8.74. This game's got an awesome, awesome aesthetic. A hand-drawn 2D action Metroidvania. Beautiful, beautiful visuals. I gotta spend some more time with it, but I wanted to give this game a shout just so it gets a little bit more attention for its incredible visual aesthetics. I think the game is gorgeous from that standpoint, and if you're into your side-scrolling action Metroidvanias, you'll probably have a good time with this. So that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of deals available right now. We'll leave links to all of these in the description box below. As always, sound off all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and be on the lookout for the Black Friday sale, which will be coming and revealed in the next couple of days. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.